The Oregon Ducks are in a tough situation. Idle last Saturday, the Ducks must now face the number 3 ranked Washington Huskies. After a season-ending injury to Danny O'Neill, head coach Rich Brooks continues to search for a starting quarterback. Though displaying a powerful arm, junior Brett Salisbury injured a shoulder in practice this week and is out for today's game. While the defense has played well at times, the 3-3 Ducks are trying to avoid possessing a losing record for the first time in 4 years. For the Huskies, their mission remains clear. After Cal gave them all they could handle, their goal is the Rose Bowl. Unheralded Jay Berry grabbed the spotlight after rushing for 143 yards and a touchdown against the Golden Bears. The Killer Bees, Berry and Bryant, will have open season on the Ducks today. The challenge for the Huskies is to stay unbeaten and run for the Roses. The Ducks want to fly high today, and the Huskies want clear skies to Pasadena. It's all next on Prime Sports Northwest. It is cold, it is cloudy, it is windy, it's October. That means the Oregon Ducks must be in town. It's time for that good old Northwest rivalry. The University of Oregon Ducks coming in to take on the 3rd-ranked undefeated Washington Huskies. Hello again, everybody. I'm Don Poyer, along with Chuck Nelson and the voice of the Oregon Ducks, Todd McKim, here on Prime Sports Northwest. It's great to have him up here. We've been friends for many, many years, and we always look forward to these broadcasts when both teams, of course, are on Prime Sports Northwest, and we get to have a reunion of sorts when we have these broadcasts. Now, normally, this is one of the greatest rivalries in the country, and usually you can say, throw out the records, it doesn't matter, but when you bring in the ingredients of injuries, guys, I think that's really decimated Oregon, hasn't it, Todd?
Oregon has been decimated both psychologically and physically. When you look at the injuries, you're talking about starters. First of all, offensively, the Ducks are down to their 3rd-string quarterback, losing O'Neill and Salisbury. David Collinsworth is their best offensive lineman. Defensively, they've lost the front 3 of Cummins, Labounty, and Woods. Some thought that was maybe the best defensive line in the Pac-10 coming in and one of the best in the country.
Now, as far as the quarterbacks, we thought Salisbury would play today. He gets injured. Now we're going to see another Musgrave. Doug.
That's right. Doug Musgrave is the brother of Bill Musgrave, and if he has the same kind of success against the Huskies as did his brother, maybe Oregon has a chance this afternoon, but he has never started a college game, a transfer from Michigan. He's got his hands full this afternoon.
Speaking of hands full, inside linebacker, this man amazes me. Joe Farwell, badly injured all week with an ankle or all season, and he's not very heavy, and he still plays well.
He hasn't practiced much. It has affected his play, yet he is still the leading tackler. And here's a guy that plays inside linebacker at about, and we are being generous, 200 pounds.
And he's going against people, 290, running backs, 230, 240. It's amazing. He's an outstanding athlete. The Pac-10 standings, I think it's time to look at that. We're about midway through the season. It's no secret Washington's on top, of course. 3-0 as far as conference play, 6-0 overall. Then the rest of them, California, good shape. UCLA coming on, Arizona State, USC, and Chuck. And then, of course, Oregon now at 1-2 as they struggle with the injuries.
Well, Washington, obviously, the big game last week against California, 2 unbeatens, 2 top 7 ranked teams. Washington with a big win there. But they've got 5 conference games left to go. Obviously, a rival game here with Oregon. Like you said, anything can happen. Usually Oregon in a tough situation here today. But when you talk about Washington, the last couple of years, you want to talk about the running game.
And that's Jay Berry, who came up with 143 big ones last week.
Pac-10 Player of the Week for that effort. Between Jay Berry, who was listed as a co-starter, along with Bino Bryant, you're talking about more production than last year when the Husky running game and Greg Lewis got all the attention, but they were averaging 163 yards a game from the tailback position.
Jaime Fields defensively has played so well. It's kept Brett Collins out of the lineup, and Brett's a great linebacker.
When you've got 2 guys at weak linebacker like Jaime Fields and Brett Collins, you got to feel good about that. Collins started the majority of the games last year when Jaime Fields was injured. Jaime Fields came back. Brett Collins gets injured this year, and Jaime Fields comes in and is making all sorts of plays. He's got all sorts of tackles for loss. He's got interceptions. He's got quarterback sacks. Yeah. He's causing fumbles, recovering fumbles. He's a very active player at the weak linebacker position.
Now, as far as the game keys themselves, let's see what you've got to see. We'll see if Todd agrees.
Well, obviously, when Oregon comes in here and when Washington has the ball, Washington is going to have to keep Oregon off the field and not give them any hope. You've got a situation where you've got a major underdog coming in here, and you don't want them to feel like they have any chances. Oregon on defense has got to make big plays. Turnovers, turnovers, turnovers. Washington is a team that can strike fast. Oregon has got to make some plays on defense. They've got 3 interceptions returned for touchdowns this year. That defense of Oregon is going to have to do that also. Now, when you go to the other side of the ball, when Oregon has the ball, that aggressive Husky defense, they'll send a lot of people and put a lot of pressure on their corners playing man-to-man. Musgrave and that Oregon offense are going to have to make some big plays out of that.
And I think one of the keys as far as the Ducks are concerned, they know that they will make some bad plays offensively. Washington has done it to everybody in the country they've played so far in the last couple of years. They must maintain their poise. The crowd will be loud. They will make some bad plays, but they can't let that get to them.
Well, and that's what that defense will try to do. The game key for that Washington defense is rattle the new guy. You're going to either have, even if Musgrave is out of the game, you've got Croston in there, and he's a new guy too. So they're going to put, like they always do, put a lot of pressure on 2 new quarterbacks.
And let us not forget, it is still a rivalry. There's still a lot of Oregon fans here, as usual. It's going to be a wonderful game, and 3rd year in a row that Oregon has had to come up here. They'll go to Eugene next year. We've got the kickoff between Oregon and Washington coming up next. Husky football on Prime Sports Northwest is brought to you by Rainier Beer. Around here, it's Rainier. Don Poyer along with Chuck Nelson, Todd McKim. And the weather today, as we said, gray, cold, windy as the Ducks take on the undefeated Washington Huskies. Temperature, it's down there too. It's not all that comfortable this afternoon. As you can see, temperature at 50 degrees. It'll get lower, and the forecast calls for some wet stuff. We shall see whether or not that happens. As far as the series, it's been a long one. In fact, Washington has played Oregon more than any other opponent, and they have the nod in the overall series, 51, 28, and 5 ties. And it's been pretty much all Washington in regards to games here in Seattle. Last time, by the way, that Oregon won was 1980 up here. You may all recall that game. In fact, they thumped the Huskies, a pretty good one that day.
Some of us recall that game probably more than others.
The team's back out onto the field already. As far as Oregon itself, Rich Brooks now passes Len Casanova with his game today. I think Todd McKim has called probably all of them.
Please, not all of them.
Brooks, his career mark, as you see. And a good note to that is his last 8 years for Brooks is 47 and 39. So he has continued to build this program. As far as Washington, James is 13 and 3 against the Ducks, 11 and 3 against Rich Brooks and company. So, time to play football. Oregon won the toss. They deferred. Washington chose to receive.